a view of that building from the aqueduct. When we...
Good evening. Today is the February 26th architectural review meeting. And we will be hearing, we have a short agenda tonight. So we have 143 Ashford Avenue, deck and fence. Anybody? No? Okay. We'll see if they show up. If not,
Yeah, we can do it at the end.
we can do it at the end if they show up. Yeah. Okay, so next one on the agenda is 83 Stanley Avenue. That's the signage.
No, Mike, you just state your name and.
All right. Brian Cullen, Gotham Science and Graphics, here to discuss the application for graphics to apply to Windows, the new open market location at 83 Stanley Avenue for the Windows facing Stanley Avenue, as well as for the Windows facing the garage area. Looking for the design, what is being proposed is for the three arched windows facing Stanley Avenue, graphics up to the first mullion, or I should say window film, dusty crystal, kind of translucent film up to the first mullion with a band, graphics band across up. With a similar set of graphics for the interior area, with the exception of the door area, which will have a design. You can see on the page 4.
Do you have the graphic band a little bigger?
I do not.
Okay. And a sample of the dusted crystal glass film?
I do not have a sample of
Is
it.
it 3M?
It's right, yeah, yes,
Oh,
it's translucent,
I
like you
know.
might find on a conference room. like
I know which one it is
Yeah.
exactly.
And, we discussed this, these windows before, and the board had indicated interest in perhaps something behind, but it's really not feasible to do anything behind the glass. The refrigeration equipment is in such close proximity to the glass, there's no real room to put anything back there. And for the windows in the garage area, there's insulation, so you can't put anything on the inside. It's also on
So
site.
the film it's gonna be applied in the front, correct?
Correct, first on the outside surface.
And how do they hold weather? Because I know that the 3M film is meant for interior use.
Well, that actually, free-end dusted crystal film, it can be used
For exterior?
for exterior, yes, it's good cast film, it's a premium film.
No, I know, I have used it, so I know which one it is exactly, but I never used it for exterior. Dale, you know anything about exterior on that?
I don't know about the application like here.
And I've spoken to a vendor of the product, and, it can withstand temperatures down to, many degrees below zero, and as long as it's applied to a clean surface and properly applied.
Right, you might want to double check because it's not so much the cold weather, but the heat, and the heat starts crackling and.
No, understood.
Right. So the proposed these graphics, where does it happen? This one,
I'm sorry.
where this one happens?
This one happens also.
That's in the garage?
Inside the interior parking area. It's a door, down by the loading dock inside.
Okay.
Underneath there.
Okay.
And those graphics will be covering up insulation, is that correct?
Correct.
So I assume that the band it will be it's the same graphics of the top portions and the round in the middle. It's fine.
Correct. It'll have the oval open market logo that
Okay.
appears
All
on
right.
the logo.
All right. right. There is an issue of the band, the temporary band, they're now open,
Well, the banner,
the banner, sorry.
yes.
Uh, You know, there is an issue of for how long that banner will be displayed.
How long can it be?
It's too big right now, so. In general, from a signage conformance
No,
standpoint,
it-
the banner is much larger than allowable.
If you think about it.
No, it's
I
a
picked that-
temporary banner.
Either way.
I picked that two there. They had one for the restaurant, and they had one for the theater. And they took up that whole same space.
All right, so what I suggest is to have this banner on a temporary basis
Agreed.
for a month, to be extended for an option on another month, but you have to run it by the building department.
But for now, that's fine. I mean, the tenant, what he's concerned about is the traffic coming south to let people know that they're actually open.
Yeah. So a month is okay?
1 month. Yep.
1 month?
Yep, we'll approve it for 1 month and then.
We approve it for 1 month, and then if you want an extension, you have to come back.
So would you leave the meeting open for that and just approve whatever you decide?
No, no, no,
We
no,
reapply again?
no. We have to apply for extension, not for,
You'd have to come in and reapply again.
Fair enough.
any comments, David? All right.
I mean, I still have real concerns about window film being applied to the exterior. It's not just heat, right? It's vandalism, right? People walking by it. It's just the simple rain hitting it. If you have old glass or anything else in the city that, or anywhere that has rain applied to it, rain is not, neutral, is not from, has acidity to it to some extent. So I don't know if it's rated for that. If it's not, it's just inherently, I think it's a bad application, right? Should be on the inside. It should have been applied previously, and it should have been thought of previously. So I don't think it should be approved for your exterior use. You should move the refrigeration equipment that's in place, right? Because it did get there. You should apply it the right way at a minimum, because it won't hold up to the extent that you are saying it will. Right? Just over time, it won't hold up to the elements, it won't hold up to somebody taking a key to it, it won't hold up to the kids coming up to it and scratching it. It just won't hold up to that. And, it won't be replaced in a timely manner when that happens.
Well, I know Sleep Number's a lot of big national vendors. They use that on the exterior. And I can assure you the way the Brooklyn market, and I'm speaking for the owners, I'm with Sabre. And for the tenant, I can assure you that if something is out of place, they would take care of it right away. That's not
Yeah.
the people.
Yeah, but-
And if something wasn't lasting, then what they would probably do is pop out the panels and put it on the inside. But to move the refrigeration equipment, I think that would be a tough thing to shut down for a week to move everything around.
There could be an easy solution for you. Maybe you have like a roll-down shade applied from the inside, and you just roll it down from the inside. Like
There's like an inch between the glass.
no, I saw it. There is like a 6-inch
It
gap.
depends on where it is.
Okay.
But this way, the board, from my understanding, was on the
I can tell you from my point of view. Sorry, from my point of view, the film it's a good film. I think it's pleasing. Gives a good translucency. However, I'm concerned about the exterior use. I don't know how well that material will hold an exterior use, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, but I'm not sure.
The other two pictures are actually under the parking deck, so that they won't get the rain, they won't get the sun and everything else.
I'm not worried about I'm more worried about the exterior facing the
East
sawmill.
elevation
Yeah,
is more
the interior, I don't think we've really had that much, at least I have not had an issue since the beginning, right?
Would you be opposed to putting some type of shade on the inside on the two bigger windows? And on the smaller one, if we put the film on That one, we could probably do the inside.
This one here, this
That one there, that one, you could probably do the inside there.
I,
So if we put it on the inside.
wait, wait a second. So we are talking about these roll-down shades. You
Just
put it
not
on
on
the
the
on
arch.
on the arch,
Not
but
on the arch,
on these two windows, on the exterior two
from
windows.
the lower.
From the lower, yeah, correct.
Here,
And we
here.
still have the band, the black band that says bakery,
But
whatever,
that we do
from the outside.
from the outside.
That's fine. Okay. I think it's a simpler solution.
What's the shade? What is that material going to be?
It's
The
like
shade,
a,
it would be something very.
it's like
subtle.
a screen.
Give you the same color.
Dale, you have any recommendation for shades, like, the Mako shades, or?
Well,
You don't have to
whether
buy
it's a shade, or I talk them into putting it where we pop the panels out, applying it and putting it back. Because that's all from the outside.
You
So if
can-
I get the glass guy who did.
Okay.
They could do the film on the inside.
Okay,
Who did all the install for us doing the shell,
okay,
right? You pop out the glass, put the film, and put it back.
fair enough.
But underneath, you don't care if it's on the outside? Because they have walls built in there already?
No, on the interior, no,
Okay.
it's fine. But
But on the east elevation.
on the exterior elevation that is to the Summit Parkway, yeah.
Yeah.
If you pop it,
They-
yes. Maybe
The
cheap.
tenant wants it to look nice too, because he's gonna have tables, chairs, an eatery outside. I mean, that's everything that it was approved to do.
Okay.
So I'll talk to them about popping out the glass, putting it on the inner panels, on the east elevation,
Yeah,
and on the south elevation. We could put it on the outside, because it's not open to the weather, if you're
Yeah.
okay
Yeah,
with
okay.
everything. And then on the now open side, we'll be for, a 1 month period,
okay,
if that meets your approval.
yes. And-
Yeah, I was just looking to see if I could find anything online about applications for the exterior. I couldn't find anything for the 3M products identifying exterior application of the decorative films. So that's why I agree. I think it's best to pop the glass, put it on the inside, and you won't ever have a problem with it.
Okay. So can I make a motion to approve this application with contingents to, first, the banner facing Stanley Avenue, that is, will be approved as is for a period of 1 month with an option of extension for another month, but you have to come back for it. The graphics facing Stanley Avenue, the graphic band approved as submitted, which is the Brooklyn and the Oval. And, sorry, and the dusted crystal glass film, the 3M material, will be applied from the inside, right?
The band itself could be on the outside.
The
right?
band can be on the outside, only the dusted crystal glass film applied from the inside. Okay, so the banner design, then there is a proposed graphics parking lot entrance approved as submitted, referring to this document, which is, says, it's a laminated vinyl, custom printed, yeah, as submitted. And the proposed graphics facing the parking also as submitted. Do I have a second? All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda is 26 Allen Street.
subdivision was completed, where the owner of this parcel bought 25 feet from the neighbor's parcel. So there you can see, this is the lot that's coming up, this is the Allen Street, this is the Ashland. This lot here, this is the dam. So these are the preliminary elevations, most significant change since the last time you saw it. We have made some adjustments so that now it complies with the sky exposure plan.
Say it again, can you?
We've made some adjustments so that it now complies with the sky exposure plan.
You say that now you don't comply?
It does comply. We're trying to, we wanted to, if you recall, we have shown, we're trying to get it as far in this direction as possible.
Right.
Just because this is the neighbor that actually participated in this transaction. He actually sold 25 feet of his property to this property to enable this to happen. So we're trying to have the house be as close to that house as possible since this neighbor did not participate in this, trying to create as much space between this existing house and the new house as possible.
So the north elevation, it does protrude, right?
The north elevation is effectively the backyard, which, faces Ahrb Avenue, but there is another house, between this one and Ahrb Avenue. Back to this drawing. This house exists, and this house exists, and this house exists. So this house is being built here. For the north elevation, you can only see between the dry cleaner and the house that's there now,
Right.
from Ahrb Avenue.
So this is not an application?
It's not an application.
It's for discussion only?
Discussion only, we've been referred by the planning board. They wanted to know if you had any comments, any reactions.
Are they expecting any comments from us in writing?
The planning board, yeah, they wanted your input on the design and everything.
Okay.
I mean, in general, it doesn't seem in review that all of our previous input has really been taken into consideration. Because we still have not seen a compliant plan that's fully compliant with the sky exposure plan.
This is fully compliant.
So then, I'm confused then. What am I, in the north elevation, what am I looking at with a,
Well, in the north elevation, you're looking at.
it's just the back
large
portion of the
element-
house?
Large element beyond,
Okay,
but as these dotted lines are drawn,
It's like
Relative to
the
the
envelope
back
drops,
plane
so
of the
what you're
house.
looking at is, the house at this elevation should be measured by this the south
Right.
elevation.
right,
This is much lower.
setback lower, because it jumps down.
if we look at the site plan, what you're seeing in the north elevation,
Yeah.
the measurement
It's
points
set.
are across the back plane of the building, so they'll be hitting the property line here and here, but what you're looking at where the dotted line crosses through is way back here.
So this is,
Yeah,
So the south elevation, we measure up at the front plane of the building, and the
Got it.
north elevation, we're measuring at the back plane.
oh, so you got.
yeah, the right way to see it and explain it is in a 3D modeling, that you see the envelope and you see the house within. But I get it. For us now is to have a discussion. The massing seems to be appropriate. Of course, when this will be our application, I think you're gonna put more detailing,
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
and it's gonna be developed into a more of an application. I understand that the garage is on the back of the house, correct?
You actually enter the garage on the side of the house,
On the side of the house, but it's towards the back,
but it's not that.
toward the back. So,
It's
it's,
down underneath.
so I think that, because I will suggest, if you would like to consider reducing the massing of working with the slope, but it will be
Yeah,
difficult.
we actually had, previously, we actually had 4 bedrooms on the second floor, and we've reduced that
Yeah.
to 3 bedrooms so that we can start to get, this, with the sloping down here,
It's not,
the full 2-story, and then the small bump out here, and then the 1-story section here, so that it does follow the.
yeah, there is an effort to be made. Value the concept of moving the garage to the back of the house, which will be good. We're gonna send our comments
Okay.
so far. Okay.
I was reading it wrong.
Mhm. Okay. No action? No comments, you? David, comments?
I'm just looking at the turnaround for the car, for the garage, just looks a little tight in the first spot.
It will be developed into a full set. Okay. So next on the agenda, also for pre-submission and discussion only, is 130 Palisade Street.
I'm the owner of 130 Palisade Street. My husband and I bought this house about 2 years ago. We started to renovate it inside. It turned out that it's a little smaller than we were hoping. We have a growing family. I just had a baby, 4-month-old. So why I'm here today is to get, show you what we're planning to do in terms of an extension to the back of the house. Right now, we're standing in front of the house, looking at the house. We went to to get the site plan approved already from the zoning board, which was approved. So I want to take you through, our ideas and then see that we get into the plan. So in terms of location, you can see in red where the location is. It's a relatively big lot within the neighborhood, but the house, as you can see in the next couple of slides, is actually really small. This is the view from Main Street, but a bird's eye view. You can see where the red arrow is the house. We're surrounded by a lot of very deep houses here. This is our house. This would be from the other side, so technically, I guess there's water from inside. And then if you zoom in, what I want to show here is just what's behind the house. So this is our house, and this is the garden, and this is all up towards Main Street. So all of these houses are basically over our house. And then the neighborhood itself. So if you come and drive north on Palisade Street, you can see where the red arrow is the house. So what I'm showing you now is to the right of the house, as you walk basically towards the house. You have the township houses here. This is the yellow house. This is our direct neighbor, so this would be our house. This is our driveway. This whole driveway belongs to us to the side right here. Then you past the house or you're in front of the house and then you see more houses to the back. This is the front view, and then the big red house. Now, if you want to turn around, this is the view from the other side. So you see our house on the left. If you were to turn to the right, so basically across the street from us are a bunch of houses. A lot of them are rentals. This three-story house is directly across the street, so if I'm on my second floor, I can look into their second floor. And then our house specifically, so here's the front view again, and I'll point out a couple of things that for consideration. So you see, for example, these like wood panelings around this house and the porch. So as we're doing the extension, we also want to, renovate the whole house. It's very old. It's from 1870 something, so it needs a little love and care. So we're trying to, over time, keep some of the consistency of the house and the original idea and shape, but then modernize it a bit, update it. If you want to walk up this driveway, this is it. There's a little garage to the side. If you walk up further in the driveway, this would be with the back to the garage. You can see the back of the house. There's I can't call it a patio, but a very wide walkway, a retaining wall. This would be when you walk further back into the garden, the back view of the house. More of that. And you can see to the right and the left the neighbors' houses. And this would be the house that we are on the back of our house to the left of us. So the green here is ours, and this would be our direct neighbor to the left. And then this would be our neighbor to the right when we stand in the garden with the big red house. And then in regards to the proposal.
Go back to the, can you go back one slide?
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, the red house is your neighbor, right?
This one is our neighbor. Yeah. And then this is to the right. This is the site plan. So you can see the lot is relatively big. This is the existing house, and this would be the extension. It's the width of the back of the house. And then this is what we're planning to do. So if you see here, this is the existing house. And this would be the extension to the back. It's 3 stories, so what that allows us to do is to extend the bottom floor to create an actual kitchen. We tried to fit a kitchen in the current house, and it's just too tiny, so we really just need that extra space to make a really good kitchen that's usable for family, for a growing family. On the second floor, the extension allows us to take the bathrooms out of the existing house and put them in the extension to allow for true kids' rooms in the second floor plus the master bedroom, which right now, if we wanted to put those 2 kids' rooms, one of them would be like 8 by 8 or something like tiny. So we feel that we really need that second floor. And then on the third floor, my husband is an artist and freelancer, so that would allow for him to really have a workspace and open up the house so he doesn't have to sit in a corner somewhere. And let me point out some more things. So if you're at the back of the house, so this would be from the garden view. What we were trying to do is keep this very simple, have the boards, which I've seen in the neighborhood. We really tried to look at what neighbors did that renovated their homes, and we saw a lot of the nice boards, whether that's, an Aztec type or wood boards, and a lot of grays and white. So we want to go in that vein. while we're also keeping, as I said, the current house. So this side again shows that by having different materials, and I actually brought some for you to look at, we can make that distinction. And what we also really liked in the neighborhood is there's these kind of funky houses, some have a tower or some, gables, and so we really tried to pick that up and make that work in our favor. And, of course, the river views. One of the reasons why we bought in that location was also that we wanted to try and get to see the river, and going, a little bit above the roof here will allow us to actually get some of the views, and I think will be great for my husband's studio as well. Do you have any immediate questions? I brought some samples to look at if you care for it. To show
I do have a question. Where does the stairwell currently exist in the house?
Here, let me draw it off the floor plan. So, if this was the house right now, the stair right now is to the back of the current house. So what we're doing is moving the stairwell into this corner in order to allow for a true living room downstairs. Right now, you come into the house, there's a corner here for a living room. There's space for like a two-seater and a love seat, and then you have the stairs right there. So moving the stairs out of the way and into the extension allows for an actual living room downstairs.
So it's back towards, it's in the back of what would be the new living room.
Exactly.
It's near the back of that?
Yeah, so this would be the street, and you walk in, and basically everything that you see here, which has the kitchen, the stairs, upstairs it has the bathrooms, the kids' bathroom and the master bathroom. That's really what we are using the extension for, is to allow the current house to be living area, and then use the extension for, on the first and second floor, to really allow for these very necessary areas.
And you said that we already received the approval for the variances
Yeah.
for the sidewalk, the 2 feet?
Can I ask a question? They were approved
Were
Yes.
they approved?
in writing? I'd like to see, I'm 132 Palisade Street,
Which is the neighbor to
the neighbor to the right.
Oh, hi.
Between, hi, how are you? I rent 132.
Why don't you?
Okay, so I'm sorry. but
Let
I'd
the
like-
finish.
I'd like to follow up on that.
Yes.
Yes, we were approved. And what I want to point out, so this would be,
Yeah.
so right now, so this would be the house, the extension would come slightly behind the retaining wall, but essentially not go much further than that they're currently in. Just to show you the garden, basically where the garden.
I didn't bring, I can't see it very well.
Oh,
Can you go, plan view?
what do you mean?
Aerial.
Like an aerial view?
Yeah, but just on up the glass.
You mean the floor plan? Oh, okay, great.
Thank you. I'm trying to see the proportion to how far back it goes.
No, we don't, what you don't see is where the house, where your house sits versus our house. Is that what you're?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can pull up the site plan.
Yeah, that's
I can pull up this.
You could just present to the board.
Yeah, you don't have to,
It would be good to see a site plan that showed the adjacent properties and their relationship to each other in a
Is
larger.
that the one that I had in the?
No, it's not. It's not the A1 sheet. Do you agree?
which is this one, but we don't,
That one you can't tell the property, the existing property, or where it's expanding to and what the relationship is to the adjacent properties. And I think that's the question being asked, but it's also my question too.
Go back up some, the A1, the first one, up a little, there, down. That's this one. So this is your house, the front of your house, kind of lines up with the front there. Not the
You might just- Is this what you want to
Put that.
say?
No, I still.
it's not the A1.
You have it.
Similar to that. From the new house to your house?
No. I guess this is a variance you guys have to go to.
Right, where it's, where the checkers. So the property line is 2 feet to your
Not to my
house?
property line, from the end of my house to the new extent, the end of your, of the extent.
Probably about 2 feet.
It's the same distance that it is from the, at the front of the house currently.
Yeah.
So if you look at the front of the house currently, it's the same as it will be
No,
at.
that I understand. The variance was that they're able to actually build, and this is where I have a question on how it doesn't, it obviously didn't get.
All right, so now you have
I'll
to
go
stand
ahead.
the, right?
You guys can go ahead, let me just look at it.
All right, so just continue with your presentation.
Well,
And if you're
I
done.
have some materials
All right,
and
just,
colors.
let's see.
So I brought some copies of the color scheme.
Noted that they have the requirement and setback of 2 foot. There's another variance that's still under consideration.
From 19 and a half. We're gonna combine.
So our idea was, as I said, to keep it in like a grayscale, so right now this was sort of an idea for the,
Is it?
That's what it says. Variance is also requested
for the stucco area,
It's also
and then we
requested for the
would
for the side yard.
use
Which is it?
this type of board with a little bit of a deeper tone for the extension, to really help offset the extension versus the current house, to keep the current house in shape as it is. And then the window frames and details in like a nice white, we have the Anderson white windows in there right now to brighten it up. And then there's a couple of, if you look at the plans, there's a couple of brackets, and I was thinking the doors, to make something very dark, to modernize it a little bit. But really use this more to accent versus, have it all over. And then the roof would also be a deep tone. So there's a nice contrast in it.
All right, so going back to the variance, you have two variances, right? And they both approved?
No,
Only one?
just, like for your zoning board, you gotta go in front of planning on
Exactly.
March 1st.
Yep.
But,
So we are here to make a recommendation to planning board.
yes,
So did you ever try to do the addition? Why don't you pick up the mic and,
There's no
well, whatever.
mic. They're just doing that.
Okay.
we don't have to, it's no action. so
There's no action,
it's up
but
to you.
it's, okay, so my question is, did you ever try to stay within the setbacks without going to variance?
Yes, we did. The difficulty there is what I said is the staircase.
Which is?
So, once we moved the staircase over, it
Yes.
didn't allow, we had to move the bedrooms around. We lost a bathroom on the top, so we would have to either choose the master bath or a family bath.
Let me show you something.
And, it didn't, also for the upstairs, it reduced
No,
the
but-
area for the third floor to a point where, you know, we.
Let's
this
assume,
was
let's assume
step
that the extension is 10 by 34, which is 340 square feet,
Yeah.
350.
Mhm,
But if you extend it a little deeper, just take this
mhm.
and extend it a little deeper, you have it.
Yes, so we looked at the.
And,
Sorry, go ahead.
just throwing you
Yes,
ideas.
please.
And this entry, you have it from here,
Mhm.
right? So you offset the, and you have the same area, you go in the middle. The area will go in the middle, we have here a bathroom, proposed walks, in terms of areas, it's exactly the same.
Mhm. So we looked at something similar. One difficulty or one downside that we found specifically with the living room was that you're not getting that corner anymore. The other
Which corner?
piece is
The stair?
that
They're just stairs.
it like cuts, basically you create the walk area from one room to the other, from one door to the other through the living room.
One second.
And
Which
then
one?
the other-
Which, this, you go from here and you cross, the circulation
Yeah,
being
cross to
here.
the front. So one of the, aside from that though, one of the keys why I did not want to go back further is that there's very old trees that I would like to
Okay, so
preserve.
here I checked that, the 10 inches tree. I checked that, but you're not even close to the tree to get the same square footage.
I mean, when we looked at it, it felt like we shouldn't go much deeper. And the other thing is if I want to go that high, it just felt more even going up that. This was the best solution that we felt in terms of the space and use that we found.
One of the arguments that we always try to, when we have to, to opine on variances, or if we have to be convinced that that's the only solution viable.
Yeah.
So we have to see.
So-
My sense is there are multiple options that you can work within the setbacks. That's my sense, and we haven't seen it. I'm not convinced that we have, exhausted all the options that we have within our. And the second thing is that by extending in the back, you do like, a double gable, or the double with a valley that is. I'm not convinced it's in character with the house has character.
Yeah.
It's a nice house. I have to confess that I didn't see them over the weekend, but I would like to go again and see if the addition that you are proposing is in character with the house, because I think that what you are trying to, the proposed addition, I think has too much character against what's the original. I think it overwhelms stylistically the original house.
So what we did like about this specific design was actually the simplicity. I have to, personally, I think on a piece of paper, because of the height, it looks like it's overtowering the house, but.
No, actually, I'm not talking about I'll take the third floor, but not with that articulation or that character. There is no brackets on the other house. There is,
I see
it's
what you mean, the
stylistically,
design element.
it's too much. It's like, reminds me of a house that I also came from this office on Maple Street, that is like it's like a container on top of an existing house, and it overpowers the house and does something that is totally foreign to
Is
the
it
house.
the brackets specifically?
There's a style, there's a conflict of style.
It seems a little precarious. It almost seems like it's about to fall off the top of the house. There's something about it that it's disconnected and it doesn't integrate well with the existing roof lines.
It's the overall massing.
Do you
It's a
feel
little
like
bit.
taking those brackets off and simplifying it?
I will start by trying, studying it a little more careful. Obviously, this is a visual.
Yeah.
and-
No, I'm happy for suggestions because, we picked up some ideas around, and, you know, it felt like it might be a nice detail to have, but
The,
it certainly should not look like it's falling off.
the front of the
In contrary,
house,
we felt like it could look like it holds, it has like a little bit of an older character.
it almost has a lighthouse characteristic to it.
Yeah.
And when I look at the front of the house, the existing front of the house is extremely balanced and very, and it's sort of elegant in its own way. And then I look at the addition, and there are two sets of windows on the primary face of the house that have no relationship to anything below it. And there's a porch to the far right that has very little relationship, and in fact, it's extending past the house in sort of a precarious way. The pillars on the third floor porch, the way they attach back to the house at the roof line on the far right top, on the west elevation top drawing, they just are moving off the house.
Yeah.
Our intention with specifically the front view of the house is that it's not intrusive from the street view, so that's why we felt like continuing the roof with the same,
That,
you know,
that,
the
that,
same
that's,
angle.
that's
would be
fine.
nice.
You
So
have
I
a
see
different
what you
drawing
mean
there.
with the
Yeah.
side,
You
yeah.
also have a different drawing there than the one submitted in the set. The one on the screen has another pair of windows that was added in the center now.
Yes.
This one?
Yeah, those weren't on the set that were
What is
introduced.
one?
Nothing there. It's an improvement, but I'd like to see some
Yeah.
kind of tie-in to the
I
ones
see what you
below.
mean. Okay, yeah, that's
Do you agree?
definitely
I
not the
agree. I
latest.
agree.
You mean like continuing these
Oh,
windows up?
possibly, or maybe, or at least maybe there's an alignment
Yeah.
here. I'm not
So
certain what
when
the solution is, but.
Yeah, I had worked.
I mean, the
with-
addition doesn't align with the existing
Bradley
at
on
all.
this, and-
Just the massing itself, the
It's
structure itself.
completely,
Yeah, so, I have
Different.
worked with Bradley on this as well, and we tried to pick up these windows, and one concern, that we found is, this is flat, so we felt if we continue this, in reality, it might not quite work. But I don't know if you want to talk to it better, and, you know, in a better.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you all know Patty and, you know, our attention to detail, and we did start looking at that and relating those, but the realization that that's set back so significantly from this, that the extent to which you'll perceive that relationship, you know, and really, the idea, I mean, like, obviously, one solution, and we did look at a lot of different options. And one solution, of course, is just to have gone up with a third story right here, but then we started, as you commented, the house has a certain character, a nice charm. So feeling like we're building behind the house,
Bradley, right?
yes.
But just to finish my comment, that I would say that this setback that you have, you know, the 10 feet or 2 feet extra setback will help you create a more appropriate addition to the house. Because you could extend it, but on an L configuration, and you could go another third floor, but I think that has to be more in character. There is a mismatch of a stylistic mismatch,
Yeah.
and a stylistic mismatch of massing. I think that it's you know, when I saw the picture, and I was pleasantly surprised, that it's a beautiful house, I have to say. There is a
Yeah,
character that is, and the existing house. The composition of the facade is interesting, because you have this triple window with a or bay window with a column, and the addition that you're proposing, or whatever you're doing now, new, kinds of ruins it. It's
Is
very,
there something specific, like you mentioned, maybe the brackets? Can you
I think the
give me
roof
some
line in
other
general needs to-
pointers that you see, just so I better understand because personally, what I do like about this is that it's a little bit quirky, and, you know, I felt like I did see that around.
Yeah, it looks like, you know, the slums, not that it's a slum, but the idea of a slum, that it goes by addition, and sometimes the mismatch works.
Yeah,
But in this case, it doesn't. And I can point it out, what is it that is creating this imbalance.
Visual discordance.
Yeah, but I think I totally encourage you to keep investigating options, because I think it's worth it.
And we have looked at many options, including believe me, where we started, of course, is not seeking the variance.
So where, can you show us, maybe there is something
And
that,
it really didn't work for them. You know, it really didn't give them the space they wanted, or they'd have to build further in, lose trees, lose yard. So keeping it consolidated, keeping it more,
you say that,
more efficient.
you say in terms of square footage, it doesn't work?
In terms of just even the layout, I mean, we need, where they needed the square footage and having it feel, not having the staircase either, pushed further back and, so this plan, we started with with basically holding it back to 10 feet from that side property line. And we realized we were fighting too hard. That actually looked more awkward than we thought in terms of the front elevation with this, if this was just sort of arbitrarily cut off back here.
Yeah, that was one thing that I actually specifically didn't like, was the cutoff as well.
Say it again, which cutoff is it again?
If you made this, the back shorter than the front house, it created almost like a dead-end corner, there was no sun. Because in the beginning, we're like, oh, great, we could put a patio there or something. But when I saw it laid out, it just didn't.
What do you think happens to the neighbors?
Right. Well, now we
I'm sorry.
can you please?
As you're saying, we know.
No, but you have to state your name.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Make it proper.
My name is Pete, over here.
Yeah.
My name is Peter Joslin. I own 132 Palisade Street. I did not go to the variance meeting. I did not receive the notice that was given to my tenants until it was over, just whatever. I actually did and do have drawings of my house, that house, from Earl Ferguson Architects out of Irvington, what you can do with the space. Took a lot of time, a lot of money. The reason we didn't do it is we couldn't afford the expansion. However, two things I would say. I'm not as worried about the 2 feet. The house is right, it's a gangway. It's a pre-existing. Our house was 1889. And their house was around 1872 somewhere. But the height and the closeness of that to the backyard, it's hard enough for you to get light back there now. I'll get no light. There'll be no light. I understand what you're talking about the lighthouse feel. It almost, I don't have a solution for it, but I am concerned about the overall light in my backyard. I have the red building to the north of us is 3 stories. This will not be 3 stories. My house is 2-story, 23 by 23. I think it's 32 feet to the peak. And it's just that scary. That scared my back, it's just, it's just
So, yeah, and thank you for coming.
no, I'm sorry.
No, I'm glad, we know each other.
Yeah.
Years ago when we just moved in, so, can I just say something? Because of course we also thought about the neighbors, and that was actually also one of the reasons why we felt this was a good solution, because it's swimmer as well. We have to measure it out exactly. I don't want to misstate. This, if we went further back, it does get further here, and I'm actually going to pull up. Sorry. I'm trying to find a picture that shows from the side. Give me a second. So if we go deeper, this is right now the sort of the tiki fence, and our houses are very close. If we go further back, it just starts to go into the garden. If we stay closer, to where the retaining wall is right now, it doesn't do that as much. So So that would be another comment, that what our thought process was also in not extending further back, but really utilizing that corner for the stairwell, so we can go up and keep it slimmer versus trying to fit it towards the back.
And of course, one of the objectives of the studio space and the third floor space is to try and take advantage of the use of the river. So there's no way to do that by, for instance, taking the studio and putting it down on the second floor. And then, of course, if it's going to be in the third floor, the closer it is to the front of the house, the better that is for the neighbor to the north, because it's going to keep as much light and sun coming into that yard as possible. Right now, their house, the addition as proposed, will come out a little past the back of their house, but that house is considerably deeper than the existing house is now. So the
Yeah, it
addition
looks
is
very
proposed.
slim.
Yeah, the addition, I mean, actually, that would be a good photograph. I'll remember to do that. Take a shot, literally just walking, looking right down the path, and kind of really see a more frontal view of the side of your house relative to the back of Simone's house. But the tighter we keep it to the existing house, the more it will be consistent with the neighbor's house and keep the yard and the sun going into the yard as open as possible.
Yeah, so as for the third floor, it's permitted by the code, so it's something that they're entitled to.
Yeah, and that's something, that, again, maybe the
Now,
depth we can keep reducing.
My main concern was trying to work better within the character of the house, the original house.
Yeah, would you, I'm not an architect, so I'm not as savvy, but I understand the bracket area and,
Why the cantilever,
Can-
trying to get,
Can I just be brutally honest with you?
Yeah.
Changing brackets will not help this,
yeah.
right? In terms of the overall massing of the house, its relation to the existing, it's out of character with it. I don't think that we're gonna be able to make any suggestion up here that's gonna allow this to be a recommendation to anybody, because honestly, I'm not an architect, it doesn't look right. It doesn't look right in character with the existing, right? And we see a lot of different filings and applications. The balcony and the overhang and the cantilever at the top floor doesn't work with the house, it throws the symmetry off, and it's like,
Yeah.
it just, a lot of parts of it, and I think I know there's time and effort that went into this. And I'm,
3 months.
and I understand that, but at the same time, it doesn't work with the existing character of what is an 1800s house. In a village that takes a lot of pride in
You could
existing structure.
work with, juxtaposition, and there are a lot of playing, games that are available to work with and be successful. For some reason, it's not.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah,
from what I'm gathering from you, specifically the side views also, right? This, more so than maybe the back or the front?
strange.
Because I'm not,
Go ahead.
sorry, I don't want to
No,
talk
go ahead.
over it. I'm clearly very, very,
I will do this. I will swing by, I think over the weekend, over there, walk the backyard if you don't mind,
not at all.
and try to see.
If you want to set up a sidewalk with padding, you know.
What if they put the
porch on this side and just had it in the open air?
I mean, for me, this is my family home.
But if you have a porch over here without any roof over it, it's not a covered porch.
The
It's
drawings that I learned
open
how
air
to bring to the board. We've been working on this since end of last year. For my husband and I, this is a significant investment. I'm clearly personally invested in this, so I want to make sure that we can move along with this project. We're right now also renting another apartment just in order to get the work done this year as quickly as possible. So any pointers you can give me, I understand that you can create this for me, but I see some of the things that I see as poorly that you might not have the same stomach for. But what I'm trying to better understand is if we wanted to go up, how else to do. We actually looked at like extending the current house, and it just, the whole character of the house was lost. So for us, this was really the best solution, to create almost like a structure on the back versus trying to morph the current house into something higher.
Question. What are you proposing for the facade?
So we wanted to keep the current house in the stucco,
Stucco?
and then the back, sort of, siding similar to what we do for our neighbors. Yeah.
And then I had another question, why, like,
I'm sorry, 1 second, I didn't hear. It's stucco in the front and then the addition is gonna be a different material, is that correct?
Yeah, it's the board that I showed to you.
Why not keep everything in the same material?
Well, that's one, you know, we're trying to respect the existing house. And if this was all just simply stucco, the existing house starts to get a little more lost, I think, in the whole thing. You know, we looked at extending the roof line up, but one, it makes it appear more massive, and it doesn't enhance the appearance. So we looked at a number of ways of trying to integrate the new with the old. And our sense was that the most successful was maintaining the identity of the old.
I mean,
And treating the new as, you know, it's still, it's a traditional styling, it's traditional materials. Obviously, we don't agree that it's in conflict, but there's obviously, there's certainly a subjectivity to the aesthetics, and so,
I mean,
obviously that's, but we felt, you know, I mean, the reality is we were really trying to keep it as small as we could. And the reason for the cantilever is just to make that be a room that's real. You know, the addition is only 10 feet, but once you take away wall thicknesses, to go to all this trouble to create a 9-foot wide room,
Well,
just
and then-
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and in addition, we look at this to get the height over the roof and what's coming up this way. So what we did look at is making this straight, and that looked very awkward too. It looked like a toothpick. So, this was again, this is what I was.
It's my understanding, and I might be wrong about this, but that a lot of these buildings on Main Street and Palisade, the stucco was applied in like the 60s and 70s.
Yes, that's
Both
true.
houses are wood clad on the.
Yeah, so why not go back to a more original, more attractive, in my opinion? I'm just not a fan of the stucco. I don't like stucco.
So one of the reasons, so we did find the clapboard underneath from the inside. You know, in the long run, we are considering to put it back, but right now, for us getting our family home together that we can move into, it will be significant work to unveil the clapboard. So we were thinking of at least making the facade look nice again, because as you saw in the beginning, it is quite worn out.
No, and I
And
appreciate
then
the fact that
considering
you're
that, you
you're
know,
renovating
over
this
time,
house.
maybe we can take it back.
Obviously
Maybe,
needs it.
you know, the first.
Yeah.
And then, what I also wanted to say in terms of the verandas, there's a veranda in the front, so what we wanted to do is pick up same materials and, you know, this look basically to the side here. So there's a repetitive, yeah, exactly. And the veranda will be to the other side.
The porch, it's in stucco.
I think what you'll find is when you take the stucco off, you'll probably find the balusters are in
Yeah, so
there.
that's something that we want to do relatively quick is bring the veranda back intact with the balusters, so there's a connection to the balcony on the top.
I just don't, why did you go back out to 10 feet? Just why did you stop?
just, again, it was a function of, I mean, we looked, you know, I think we started at 6 or 7.
I mean, I'm all that. Why the cantilever in the back?
Well, we didn't need it because because we were able to basically use the addition for more of the service component for the floor plan, bathrooms, staircase. We didn't need as much depth. So to make this bigger, when we didn't need that, plus it actually created what we thought was a nice balance. You know, this coming straight up, you know, we didn't want to see a 3-story straight up wall. I mean, I know that is what you have on the other side of you. And there's 3 houses across the street that are just, you know, 3-story boxes.
Yeah,
that,
we're
you
trying
know,
to create something.
You know, so we're trying to break up the mass, not make it any bigger than it needed to be. But if we went straight up here, then it started to feel a little lopsided. This, well, you know, we hear words like overpowering, but it's balanced. It's, you know, it's sitting on, it's sitting on top of, you know, there's one element that's supporting another element, and that's sitting on top of it, symmetrically centered. So we felt that was actually a nice solution to create the space they needed on the second floor, but also give them a real room upstairs that, you know, had a decent dimension to it. And it broke up the mass. It didn't give you a 3-story straight wall. It broke it up so that you read the 2-story element and then, you know, this element on top.
I think, personally, I'd like to go and see it again.
One other thing I just don't fully understand is the windows on this side. I know it's the 3rd story, but those will be looking into the side peak of my house, I believe.
Okay, say it again. Which windows?
I think my house would end up somewhere around here.
Yeah.
I don't think that's fireproof. For a window to be that close to another house like that. I'm pretty sure it's not.
Privacy, you mean?
Pardon me?
Privacy?
No, fire.
For fire.
Yeah, we have a building with a window, I don't know.
Yeah, no, unless it's on the lot line, it's fine.
When I looked at, we studied that already, to put the addition there, and we couldn't put windows in because it was too close to the house.
Well, yours was on the lot line,
Wow.
right on the property line?
Not, we're both on the property, we're both gonna be on the lot line.
They're still they're still 2 foot back.
We're 2 feet from the property line, and he's 2.5 from the property line.
Okay, so you're back,
So
yeah.
there's 3.5 feet between the buildings, but
Right.
neither one is actually literally on the lot line.
Thought it was 5 feet. For the windows to be next to the
Here,
house.
so this is our house and this would be your house.
Right,
And right now, there's.
I could look
no
into it, I
windows.
don't know of any code though.
because I couldn't make the last one a bedroom. Windows on
Actually,
mine.
no, it's not that you can't have a window.
Can't consider it that.
You can't consider it an egress window, and, you know, there are specific code issues with light and ventilation,
Right.
depending on how close it is to, you know, like, so, you know, if you have the building 2 feet away, can you count that as light when there's
Again,
literally
it's-
not gonna be any light?
It's just weird.
you know.
I was gonna suggest, one of the things you might consider is altering your roof line. Number one, to get,
17.
Yeah.
come take a look. Right now, the roof goes straight up.
Yeah.
Would you consider altering the roof line to pull it back in? Maybe mimicking the form of the bottom of the building in this little feature, so that
Put it
it,
up
number
on
one,
each side.
gets some daylight, gets some light to the side properties. And the other thing is, can you change the pitch of the roof to lower it a bit? Because right now, it is going up about, what is it, 33 feet?
33 is to the midpoint.
And his roof's at 32, so you're going up beyond that. You're going up about 36, 37 feet.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering if it can be cut back and still maintain an appropriate slope.
I would looking, we could, you know, looking at the.
It might be a
at the
simple
hip,
thing that just might
I wouldn't,
soften it.
yeah, I mean, I would not want to lower the
Right.
pitch of the roof
Okay.
as a gable, because I think that actually starts
Right.
to detract.
Okay.
You know, there's a balance between, you know, is, just for the sake of making it lower.
Right.
Do we
No,
want it to
I
not look as
understand.
nice?
I understand.
But with the
Yeah.
hip, we could probably cheap the
Hip
pitch
is
down.
Yeah.
The hip would be doing that. We could probably
Maybe in
cheat
more
it down
composition
a little
that goes
bit.
with sort of the pieces
Yeah, I
going
mean,
there.
I mean,
So we
obviously,
have to,
change.
yeah, I have to look at
we'd have to look at that. The hip, I mean,
Doesn't
obviously
change
the
your
gable-
ceiling height, you still have a 9-foot
Yeah.
clear, and you still could have activity within.
that. Yeah, that's something we could look
I mean, the gable,
at. And
obviously.
what you're thinking is that it softens the looks of
It's
it.
because right, you're 2 feet away from the next building, you're right like here, and that just may give it some breathing space.
Yeah. I mean,
You
at
don't
this,
agree?
at this point, where this is, we're not,
Mhm.
because his house, he
This is-
of course,
this is what I-
he of course could actually do
This is
something
what I
similar,
read.
and that could create that condition.
You see this
But
part?
right now, where this
Yeah.
is being built,
And this-
it's not two,
Yeah.
it's not 3.5
The
feet.
simplicity,
You know,
and the character
this part
is very
and
dominant.
this part
Yeah.
is 3.5
This
feet,
is a
but once you're up
pattern.
here, it's
This-
not.
And his
Very
house comes back
interesting
to
to
approximately.
This house comes back not quite as far
So,
as this, looking at
the
the
leverage of the
survey, it's
house
probably
Is it this height?
More
right here.
Are these windows above his roof line, or?
These windows are above
Change-
his.
Change it completely.
And his roof,
stylistic.
you know, the fronts are,
So,
his,
let's say that
his
this is.
is
uh,
kind of from
for
here to here.
argument's sake, a veranda,
And I don't know what his
clear
roof pitch is,
window.
but
He's at
it's, yeah,
32 feet to the
yeah,
peak.
so he's probably coming up to a ridge somewhere like so.
So you do have a little bit of,
So there
This
could
is
be a
block
little
there.
bit. I don't know,
So this
I
is
don't
your
know what
roof,
his
and
pitch
this
is,
is
so I don't know exactly where.
My pitch?
And you don't need the other.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Brad.
Steve on this one.
I'm getting so confused at this point.
Oh, so what,
No, just, you, just finish.
Sorry, what were you saying about the transparency?
I was saying
Love to
that
hear your-
the third floor should have a more transparent feeling. Like, I was saying that, first is, you have the base, which is this part of the house, which is very, I think has a character that needs to be understood and developed from there. Because there is a street view which is very powerful.
Mhm.
To include this, I think it's kind of not understanding where it's coming from. It's like two different animals. It's like, stylistically, there is a big problem. And this could be a development of the original character of the house. Doesn't have to be the same, can be modernized, the way it's shaped, can be developed, can be evolved. That's where I'm coming.
So it's
Second-
the weight that you're talking about?
Yeah.
most of it, okay.
And second is the top floor. This area is it's very, it's a transition from here to here. The third floor is possible, and let's say that I accept, the setbacks and all of that as an idea of linearity. But the way that it's layered is not proper. The layering of, so if I do like you have this house, you have this as a transparent, you have a roof, and this belongs to the top, this belongs to the, and this has to be like totally transparent.
So when you say transparent, do you mean that it's
Transparent means this
higher?
light in character.
So you-
That makes the entire third floor more,
not as heavy, which to me sounds like more glass, more of a.
more glass, more,
less,
different.
Yeah.
less figured ground, less.
Those columns,
You know,
Yeah, so maybe
but.
from the balcony side, we can like reduce some of the columns. What I will say though is
The
that we
columns-
do need,
These columns are fine. This is,
Yeah.
all I'm saying is, this elevation is
it's specifically the side view.
proportionally, it just doesn't do it. And it's, again, it's a nice house.
Yes,
It's kind of- And
I'm
I
trying to-
know that you guys put a lot of effort in looking at 10 different options.
Right.
But the nice deserves maybe another 10.
yeah.
I have,
I don't understand the balcony at all, so.
No, the
just-
balcony's
I mean,
a-
I understand what you want it for,
Right,
but
it's gonna be a spectacular.
it's
spot.
relative,
It's
it's
like
how
a-
how it ties to the rest of the overall house,
You-
right?
you-
It's-
you can
It's a
tie it.
feature, but
You can tell.
it
And
doesn't,
it's-
I don't understand it in its current configuration.
Does it have to
No.
be covered, the balcony?
Uh,
Yeah.
well, Well,
You
I
wanna
mean, for
have
me,
like
it
a
would be,
coffee place and watch the
yeah, and then
sunset.
it becomes more usable, and otherwise, again, then you have another. Can I ask something for being in front of you the first time? Is I'm getting different ideas. I'm hearing that, you know, some of your ideas or opinions might not be exactly aligned, and I don't think that you have to give me a solution, but what I'm trying to do is walk away from here and better understand what I need to either come back with or change.
It's
Bradley.
tough because you can't really
Because
design it
some
for
of
you.
this, you know, some of this, I hear the height shouldn't be a problem. The site plan would be more or less approved by the planning board and the zoning board. So I'm trying to get the nuggets out that I really have to change walking out of here, so I can come back in a couple of weeks
Bradley,
and
you
hopefully.
understand where?
I mean, I do, I mean, I look at a sketch like this and I look and I say, well, I could logically interpret that what we've done accomplishes that. So it's
Because
like,
the
so I'm
other
kind of,
thing with,
I'm a
like,
little
more
bit, I'm a
windows
little
is
trying to also
Yeah.
figure, you know, and obviously trying to create the right balance, because some of the things that have been suggested, you know, obviously, like I said, it's very subjective. But some of the things that have been suggested, we have looked at, and, you know, and it's like, we don't want to come in with, here are 6 different options, which we don't think are as
Well,
successful as the one we've
this
presented.
is, remember, just
But-
in putting this in context, this is a pre-submission for discussion.
Yes.
Exactly, I know, so we're
So-
getting,
I mean,
we're
this
really,
is the
we're
discussion.
You're already
getting
too
way
far.
ahead, we're getting way ahead of ourselves.
Well, I think
So
you
we
already-
don't like the cantilever, right?
I say that what I don't like is what I see.
I
It's
think,
just
I think
like-
it's,
like-
no, come on, I think it's clearer than that. I think that there's a problem with the front elevation, that there are some issues with how the third floor integrates with the rest of the face of the house
I
on the
mean,
front.
yeah.
That it just doesn't feel right, it doesn't seem to look right.
Yeah.
Number 2, the side elevation and the object that's sitting on top needs to be either more tied to the building or more released from the building, but right now it seems just to be stuck on. Correct?
Yes. He couldn't have said better.
Yeah, I mean, and actually, no, I actually appreciate that comment, because the idea that it needs to be more tied to, or more, it's just like, because that's what we were
Because you
fighting
were
with.
fighting over it.
You know, because we actually have.
And I'm
you know,
also concerned about the roof line, of where this fits and how this roof ties into it, and the little pieces and parts that are like where the integration happens. I don't think it's resolved, and I haven't seen a roof plan, so I can't make a determination if that's gonna work.
But that's something
Yeah, well,
you
you
were
can, the
not.
roof, you can see the roof, you can see the,
Like the roof.
I don't know
You
if,
see
I don't
the-
know if you can call it a cricket,
how
but it's 30
important
feet
it is.
wide, but you can,
Yeah,
but,
it's
you know,
hard
you
to
can
see,
see.
it's hard to see, it's hard to see how.
Is that still a cricket? I don't know.
It's hard to see how the two things came together. There was
Yeah.
nothing that sort of talked about that. No.
Well, I mean, again, we're getting ahead of us.
I think the depth of the building looks fine. I think in terms of the planning on the interior, it's a very logical use of space and it's highly efficient. I think it's just this third level and how it reintegrates into the rest of the form.
Yeah, I think I understand.
And I don't think there's an answer. We could come
Yeah,
up, we're all
no.
5 people come up
No.
with 5 different answers,
Right.
but
And
we're
then
just offering some
obviously-
ideas about what you might do.
Yes, no, I appreciate it, and obviously, there's also a little bit of a, you know, what my husband and I are envisioning. One thing that I will say in terms of lightening up the third floor, maybe with even more windows, is that my husband does need walls to work on, so, that's why at least the wall also to the garden, this one, would be, sorry, it's the other one, the one on the, would be the one where we at least would wanna have just.
Look, you don't need to have windows to have there is literal transparency and phenomenal transparency. You can use both. Literally, phenomenal transparency is better.
And in terms of getting additional light in, you may also look at, skylights along the back side of the roof to bring light down into the studio. So you just have the front side that you place your windows on. You have one big
No, I
solid
mean, the
wall.
window placement as it is right now, we feel is optimal for the use on the third floor. I just pointed out because what I understood with transparency, of course, was glass, but I hear you, it's maybe more abstract than
Yeah,
just.
I mean, glass obviously accomplishes transparency, certainly, but, I mean, perhaps a change in material, I mean, if we're not ready to change the stucco on the existing house, because that, you used, I think you said unveiling or, you know.
Yes, I mean, I'm
I don't think we're
happy
gonna
to
be
do
lucky
it,
enough to
but
say,
maybe-
let's chip off the stucco and, oh, yeah, we're back to the original. I
I
mean,
mean,
we're
I
talking about
can-
taking everything off and redoing, resheathing, residing, it's gonna be a major undertaking. But perhaps the materials, if the existing house remains the stucco, if the first and second floors of the addition remains the clapboard, to give that a weight. But the top part, instead of being clapboard, is, you know, panels and trim. So that, you know, in some voids there'll be glass and others
The
there'll
other
be
thing
panels.
that you may consider is this deck or balcony. I think it's a good opportunity for doing something very nice. It's almost there. It's not, it's almost.
I know it doesn't seem
So-
like it at this point, but.
So what I'm walking away with is that we revisit specifically the sign views, try to lighten them up a little more.
I think Dale summarized it the best
I do too.
for everybody. I think he's touched on everything that everybody made a point of.
Okay,
So, that would be the first place to start.
okay.
I don't want to, not to cut you, but that,
No,
I mean,
please, yeah.
he made it, you know, looking at the roof lines, tying it or not tying it.
Yeah.
He summarized kind of,
Integrating it more or less.
he summarized it best for, I think,
Yeah.
with everybody's comments so far. So,
Sometimes it's difficult to articulate
Yeah,
when
we-
it just
I mean, we
doesn't look
toyed
right,
with
you know, it's
Putting a
like,
half
what's
wall here so
wrong,
we can
and
center the
take some
thing.
thought.
We just said it's gonna be cleaner and nicer to, you know, you're gonna see that from here.
The other thing you might consider, just
So many
suggestion,
opportunities.
Go ahead.
So
because
we looked
you've
at
got
so
these
many.
double doors and windows, you might want to have these elevations be more married, and also you have a direct path, so now you have more usable space in that entire zone, instead of crossing over to get to the door.
No, that's certainly a possibility.
Moving the doors to the
Well,
front.
Moving the door
it's
towards
just
the
a-
front.
a
It's
Spatial.
actually funny because Zach and I talked about that for a while.
It's just like the space of how you
Yeah.
use the space and how you get to the
Yeah.
outside, doesn't have to interfere with what you're doing inside the space.
Yep, for sure.
And then you'd also have that elevation, could be more similar on both sides of the house, just keeps it balanced too.
So I
no
think
more
the next,
I'll swing
the
by
next
over
board
there.
meeting is in about 2 weeks. Yeah, so that's all. And then in terms of walking by the house, would you want, I'm happy to, you know,
During the morning, Saturday morning.
we don't live there right now, so I would love to meet you there if you want to.
Or not?
I'm just- No,
I mean,
just
do you-
want to take a walk.
I just wanna see you. once in a
Obviously,
while.
you can see it anytime you want.
Yeah, that's-
If you'd like to meet Patty there, or
I'll send that email.
you know,
Okay.
I mean, you know Patty would be willing to, and would be happy to.
Just keep it.
It should be,
It's on the application,
it
right?
should be on the
Yeah.
application, yeah.
It is.
If not, I'll get it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Next on the agenda are the minutes, but I think we can, do we have a quorum for minutes?
no. You know, no, you don't have a quorum for either.
So I think that we can review it next time. We continue, so I make a
Actually-
motion that we continue the minutes for the next hearing. Let's see. All in favor?
Sure.
Paul seconded, all in favor. And then I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Dale seconds, all in favor. Good night.